Hello, I'm Scott, the breathing guy. I will train you to locate, generate, activate core key energy in physical activity. This video series is golf swing fitness through Tai Chi, Qi Gong, and NPQ. This video is going to use both Tai Chi for separation, learning to separate, to get the sensation of separating the hips and shoulders so you can apply it to your golf swing, and Qi Gong exercise for the hips to make the hips more dynamic, loose, and setting. So I'm blending the two together, two schools together. There'll be two techniques in dealing with with those issues that we all have in golf and in exercise in life. Generally speaking, as you get older, what happens when you turn your shoulders, your hips turn one. Where in reality, you want to turn your shoulders first, then your hips follow on that. That separation feeling is trained, it's conditioned. When you're young, 18, 19, 20, no problem. But when you get over 30, 35, 50, 60, 70, it's to your health benefit if you can do it. Because that's what walking is, a crisscross action. You're creating a crisscross action. But anyway, so the first thing you understand we're going to deal with is I'm going to deal with from a Qi Gong of activating your hips. How to set the hips are the foundation of all movement. How you have your pelvis and how your pelvis condition is determines so much of your range of motion, abilities, pain in your back, so much, and in golf particularly. If you have an arch or an arch in your back where your back goes like this, so many people, or you have a C position where your hips are like this, it limits the actual hips from this point from turning. You can test it. Don't take my word for it. I want you to feel the resistance. If you're in your golf swing and you have an arch, you can test it, and you take a club like this, a little bit like this, and you start trying to go down, turn with an arch, feel the resistance, feel how it pulls right here. But if you do this, basically this is a Pilates, a term, neutral, bring the hips slightly forward, inhale, tight here, pause, and as you exhale, slowly, move your hips back and forth, exhale, and then tighten this area. Pull up on your glutes. Now, notice your hips are basically centered, turn sideways. Keep this a little taut, put a little tension here, lean forward, and see how you go back, how your hip will turn, and there's no pull in your back. If you got a pull in your back on this side, it is most likely directly related to your hips having an arch, where you're not moving from here, you're moving from up here. That's why the pressure's there. This can really amplify where you, like one of my clients, he had back problems, and after going through a whole series of setting the hips up, engaging the core right, he never had a back issue in this area again, and to his surprise on that. So how you do your setup and your hips really affects your ability to rotate the hips for your turn in your golf swing and the separation factor. In fact, try this. If you like an arch, like most people have, try to turn your shoulders and your hips. You can feel resistance. For me, it's really easy. If you turn your hips like this and try to turn, same thing. But find that neutral. Turn your hips slightly forward. Notice the spine is almost flat. Inhale, tight glutes, and watch this. With my hips neutral, I can drop my shoulders. There's no tension, my back, and I can really turn. My hips don't have to turn. That arch pulls certain muscles, the fascia material in ways that actually locks your body together. Having the hips in a proper position, a neutral position where the spine is virtually straight, permits the hips to turn. When you kink the spine, it locks the upper body and the hips together. So it's like kinking, linking it together. And that's what you don't want. The best example is I watched in gymnastics, this one woman doing it on a bar, and the first thing she does, she has huge arch. Those ladies in gymnastics can arch their back, but she tips her hips forward, then she does the run. They never do it with an arch. Just an example, the pelvis area is the key. So the first exercise we're going to do is how to activate, how to get range of motion down through here, how to get it that way. And it's very simple, so do it slowly. Every exercise I'm telling you to do, I show you. Do it extremely slow, 1. 2, don't push it. Find out. It's learning what are you capable of doing now. We can change it later, but right now it's all about what range of abilities do you have. So you have it set in your mind, then you can pick and choose what you want to extend, increase the range this way, and I have a whole bunch of techniques to amplify any movement you want. Suggestions and techniques. So really, let's begin. This is a Qi Gong motion, and what you do is have your feet basically straight up and down, tip your hips like this, and you're going to put your hands either this way, notice, or you can put your hands back here. If you do this, watch my elbow. That makes me stand up straighter, and you can feel your pelvis. So you actually put your fingers, spread your hands. Put the thumb and little finger, squeeze, and the other fingers are loose into there. Just slightly, drop your shoulders now. When you engage your hands, the shoulder tension in your shoulders can be released. Why? All tension is energy. You're putting it in your hands now so that it flows from your shoulders down. I always view the shoulders like capacitors. It's electronic terms of stored energy, and you want wait until, where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to go? So anyway, you put like this, feet even apart, and you slowly rotate around like this, ever so slowly. Now breathing, you inhale forward on the ball, and you're creating a circle action across your feet. Pause, exhale, across the heels, pull your stomach in. Inhale, push your stomach out, pull the glutes up, exhale. Push down, pull that belly button in, drop shoulders. Every breath, you inhale through the nose, and in the beginning, you can exhale through the mouth like this. Pull the stomach in, pause, inhale, pause, exhale. That is it. And as you're blowing out their lips, don't like that. No, it's like you're playing in it, or like you're whistling, or like you're smoking a cigarette. That's the best terms. And see how long can you exhale. Inhale through the nose in the beginning. As you're exhaling, let your shoulders drop, let your upper body, and feel the feet on the outside. So what you're doing is rotating around in a circle, and you're pushing your belly button. You don't want to do this. A lot of people, the hips don't, you're moving here. You want your head to stay stable, and this is a slow action. Don't have to go really far out, in the range of motion, just a little bit to feel. Then when you go one way, then go the other way. Exhale on the heel, inhale on the ball, exhale, and soften your body, soften your body. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. That's all this is. And like I said, the head here, you can feel. And then if you want, you can switch your hands like this and go back. Bring your elbows back a little bit so you're standing tall. And your hips are in that neutral position, and you'll feel it through here. You'll feel. When you get this good, this down really well, and if you want to go to the next stage, spread your feet a little farther apart, where the shoulders, and do the same thing. Now you're going to have a different pull through here and through here because your feet are farther apart. Same principle. Head stays in position and the hips slowly move. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, cross, pause, exhale. What I want you to do is pause going forward. On the ball, inhale when you're coming across from one foot to the other. Pause, exhale on the heels. There's several ways to do this on the breathing side, but that's really the best. So when you're on your ball, you inhale and you pause as you're going back on your heels, and you're pulling your stomach in. Pull your stomach in. Time it with the movement of the stomach. Move the core muscles. Activate the core. You're toning muscles. This is a toning, and you want range. Everybody thinks of, I want a strong stomach. You can have a strong start like a wall, but it doesn't move. It's going to hurt you in the long run as you go. Having range of motion with strength is the name of the game to me. That gives you the most opportunity, especially in your golf swing. But learning to exhale, pulling your stomach in, pulling the belly, and that keeps your hips in, if you want to say neutral. Pushing it out, pulling the glutes up, exhale, as your belly button goes in, push down. That activates this across here more. But range of motion, toning. Next phase, if you like that one, and if you're younger, or you work up to it, then you can go really apart. And this is a short action. This really goes through here, and do this very slow. By doing it slow, you've learned what your range is, 1. 2, you're letting the stretch happen. That's the difference. So it's inhale, pause, exhale on the heel. And then you can see how far your hips can tilt sideways like this. So you got 3 ways of development. But the number 1 rule to begin with, slow. Find out what you can do. Do not overdo it. Do not push it too hard. And if you have a spot where it's like tight, I got a little tightness right here, just stay there for a minute. Inhale. And just soften that area. And always start with the shoulders. You want to soften this. Soften up here first, then soften down here. Always start with shoulders and go down on that, down to your feet. And then just stay like this. If you want, you can just tilt. Then inhale, exhale. As you exhale, soften shoulder now, tilt a little bit, and make your hips go. Try to keep so everything's sideways. Then when you want to come up, inhale. Push your stomach way out, exhale. If you want a slight pressure sideways, but keep your spine straight. Keep the pelvis centered, neutral. And stay there for a couple breaths. Push your stomach out. It'll give you a whole new activity, range of motion, sensation, and pull the belly button in on the exhale. Past neutral. You have everyone neutral. If your stomach's there, pushing it past, and then reach it here, and then pulling it in by pushing down on the glutes. This area, and soften the shoulder blades down. And that'll make your spine go straighter with the pelvis in that position. So it's very critical. So that's the first, those 3 stages. First, start off with your feet, basically, where they're even down like this and like this. Slowly, just to warm up. Do this every time you're going to go out and play golf for 5 minutes or even, oh, that feels good on that. Because you're going to feel what's tight and release, and you need range of motion and less chance of damage. But make sure the hips, pelvis is tilted using core, breathing. Next, have the past shoulders and have the feet farther apart, just a little past the shoulders width. This is what you're going to use for a driver's swing anyway. And then if you really want to get ambitious, then you spread your feet apart. Make sure the feet are pointed straight ahead. That's the key. So many people have their feet turned out. No. It literally have to be straight. The toes pointed straight ahead. You want that. That maximizes what you can do for this. There's other variations. Then you go slowly here. That just really works this area here, through this area. And go both ways. And use the breath. Inhale. Pause as you're going back on your heels. As you're on your heel pressure, exhale. Pull that stomach in. Pull it in. Inhale. No. Pause. Inhale while you're on your ball or your feet. You're switching your weight. Then rotate the other way. Maybe 8 one way, 8 the other, more, whatever. And then you can always stay in a position and tip hips a little bit like this. This is for your golf swing. And just like soften shoulders, soften. Feel the pull. Feel where you're sore or tight. That's the beauty of this. You get to know, and you're working those areas to condition them. Releasing the shoulders. Number 1 rule. You have to have soft shoulders. If your shoulders are, if you have a tight muscle, tense up, shoulders come up, everything goes weak. It limits range of motion and physically makes you weak in your feet, hands, the rest of your body. And I can prove it physically, not mentally. Next exercise we're going to go to, this is amplifying the separation. First exercise is separating shoulders and hips. How do you develop that sensation of being comfortable, being natural, of separating hips? And it shows where you get this separation factor, where the hips stay the same and they move, rotate, instead of like this. And well, that's an exercise. It's a stretching, it's a form, it's an extension of range of motion. And Tai Chi does that. And this is very physical. It's going to work your feet, it's going to work your legs, it's going to stretch out your calves, and you're going to separate. The better the separation, the more extension you have in range of motion. So what we're going to do, I'm going back here, involve. And what I do, how do you do this? This is a Tai Chi movement, and you stand straight, tip your hips, and if you want, then move out like this a little bit. Now, what you're going to do is either step forward or step backward. And you want to make sure your feet are far, if the inside of your foot is on the outside, a little farther. So your hips can be straight ahead. You want your hips straight, not tilted like this. That's too easy. If you have to do that, fine. But when you're first beginning, find out what position. So you can do something like this. See my hip? But if you want a little extension, you put that foot back, turn that foot at least, where it's on a 30-degree angle or whatever, like this. Not like this, just like that, and this is 17 degrees. So what you're doing is creating like an oval. You're swinging, you're pivoting around with you. Now, having your hips straight forward and doing that, that pulls on your psoas muscle right here. Plus your foot like this. So what you're going to do like this, and then you're going to shift here. So you can divide the movement, like the golf swing, into two parts. Lower body part that supports the upper body. And what you do down here affects what your upper body is going to do. Divide it at the belly button, waist. Humans have that ability of separation at the waist levels. So understanding that, keeping that separate, really makes a healthy body. So this is involved. This gives you great balance. This is really strong. So when you go back, you just want your feet far enough apart where you can put your weight straight up and down on this foot. If you're too far forward, you can't. When you go back like this, you can't just, when you got it right, you can just literally lift this foot up. That's what I want. If you got it too close, you're like this, you throw yourself off balance. Finding your balance in the distance in relation where you can sit, literally sit, pelvis, basically neutral, going down, and you can sit there like this with your foot up for just gentle balance. That's the goal, to know how far you need your foot to go forward on this exercise. So understand it, too far apart. If you have it too close together, your feet are too close together, but a lot of people do. See like this, you cannot turn in. But if you put your feet apart, then you can. That pulls, that stretches, that extends your range, 17 degrees, and it's literally past the shoulders you want. So involved. So this is a circular hand motion, and what we're going to do is, first for the hips, is this action. You go back, I need my foot back a little bit, there. And then you can almost start like this, and then put your foot down, turn your foot slightly in, never point it straight ahead. You want a circular motion. That's the key. That's the key. So, what you want to do? So when you get in this position, turn your hips like this. Make sure you get your angle feet before you do anything else. This is basic. This is beginning to understand. Set your hips and stay there for a second. Breathe. Push your stomach out. Exhale. Pull your stomach in. Inhale. When you push your stomach up, press your toes down. Exhale. Pull your toes up. Push this down. Inhale. So you're moving two things. When this goes out, this comes up. When this goes in, this goes down. In this art, my approach. Now, once you get this, and then, so it's inhale, exhale. Inhale, all the way across, pause, exhale. Inhale. See, my hips are staying basically straight, and more you have this. If you need to put your foot out a little bit more, fine, do it. So you get that, if you can get that parallel straight like that, that really makes it, how can I say, extenuating, versus if you have that. This is easy. This is a challenge in stretching and extending your range. Next action, the upper body movement. So what you're doing here is you bring your hand. Now watch my elbows. Hand. This is a circular motion. You want to put energy in your fingertips, and you're going to turn shoulders like this. Come on, inhale, and as your arms coming back, exhale. Inhale, and then when you're going back, you're going to come back on your foot. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Push your stomach out. Inhale. Rotate around your feet. This takes a while to really get the sensations you want. Soften your shoulder on every exhale. Now notice my elbows. First off, when I'm coming back, they're going straight down. They're not going out, they're going down. And when I'm going out, what I'm doing also cocking my wrists like this, going out, pause, and I'm putting my tension in my little finger and ring finger. But now pause, now I'm going to turn my wrist in like this at the same time and putting my tension in the thumb and ring finger, pulling it back. If you want a little bit more extension, use the thumb by going cocking out. Inhale, spread the thumb out for the little finger, and then exhale. Let the thumb come in a little bit. Soften shoulders. Inhale. 8 times. Inhale, and as you're exhaling every time, let your body, but watch my separation when I'm going this way. See, my hips are staying, and I'm just literally bringing over here around. When you first start off, you might be a little like this. Look at my shoulder angle, where it's an angle. Over the years I've doing this, I've actually extended my range, where I can almost do a 90-degree. My hips are parallel across, and that just exhale. Then you turn around, and now look at my hips still straight, and I'm turning my shoulder around, so I'm making this big circle. My fingertips. Put the energy in your fingertips. Make a little tension in your fingertips, not your arms. This is, a lot of people do this. When you do this, watch what happens. I'm going to put my energy in my arms and my shoulders. Watch my shoulders come up. My hands are just soft. There's nothing in it. When you do it right, shoulder down, the shoulder to the back, your posture. If you put energy in your fingertips, in your fingers even, put it in your hand, and then you work the wrist. So you're really working a lot of areas. Then switch to the other side, get your position, step back, turn a foot, and for practice in the beginning, just try to get your neutral. Inhale, exhale. Practice this. This is all basic. There's more internal forces involved I can get you into to amplify the force within these motions. So what you see, you got 2 things. What you see, and there's something that you don't see. There's the internal energy, strength process being created and directed, and then the movement. Even the muscle tension is the external factor that you can see. So there's always 2 parts, what you can see and what you can't see. Even in golf, you can see someone do a swing, and one looks like he's putting a whole lot of effort, another one does the same swing, same does it, but it looks like, wait a minute, it was effortless, or it's so smooth, it was so different. What's made the difference? They both did the same movement, but the internal forces that each one created were different. How they directed that internal forces. It's not just creating it, it's how you direct it makes a big difference. So you got 2 exercises. One is the hips. There's 3 stages. You do it very, very slowly. If you just stay at one stage, it's better than not doing anything. So just doing this and not move it, just go out. And then you can really extend it out. From this one here, you can really extend out. See how I'm extending past? So really understand, being your feet together, there is no benefit one over the other. It's just different range. So you start off small to find out, and if you want, even with your feet close together, you can slowly extend it past. That's a whole nother feeling. It really pulls into the area here for me. But do it slow, and if you find a kink someplace, pause right there. Take a couple deep breaths, soften your shoulders first, then soften that area with the breath on an exhale. Exhale is the release of energy, release of tension, the release. The longer you can exhale, the better control you have of things, have your energy flow of expression. So really understanding the breathing is a energy and strength process and developing that. So that's the first one. Second one, put your feet past, same principle. Head stays in the center and you're moving and then sit slowly. That's like pulling a different area. And if you find a kink, like here for me, and I breathe, shoulders soften, soften shoulders. And then when it gets a little soft, and then I move slowly, slowly. And make sure the pelvis is in neutral position. That's the number one thing with you. How do you do that? Is with the breathing. Setting the glutes, setting tension, keeping tension across here below the belly button, keeping tension right here. You don't do that, it's going to be all shoulders. There's two ways to create force. This in any sport. You can either use your core generator and strength, or you're going to use your shoulders as the primary. So many golfers start the golf swing because they put their feeling and tension up here. So they start here instead of using the hips to initiate the action and direct the action. This is all about grounding yourself, stretching, range of motion. The Tai Chi and the Qi Gong, breathing and range of motion, putting energy and becoming softer, more fluid, yet I can make it so much more dynamic internally, where that same movement will make you sweat. All three, anything I show you in movement, how much internal force you want to generate and express within that movement is a whole choice aspect. But you first got to learn the movement, the basics, and then we can amplify it from there. So this is golf swing fitness through Tai Chi and Qi Gong and NPQ.